Now, let's begin by understanding the individual that we're trying to provide credit to. So this is a typical young smallholder farmer in the region that we work with. His name is Yusuf. And Yusuf, really, he has no land title. He has no formal ID. He has limited cash. He doesn't actually have a phone he owns himself. His father has one that he gets to use every once in a while. He has no financial history and no formal address. So, if you want to finance Yusuf, what can you expect as your repayment rate? With the systems that we've developed, we've been able to create a system where we can finance individuals like Yusuf, and today we're running at a 99.9% repayment rate. As mentioned, getting them yields up to 500% national average, and through a system that is highly scalable, which we've scaled about 100-fold in the last 36 months. So before we go into the risk mitigation, let's understand what Yusuf's financing needs are. So a smallholder farmer in Nigeria typically needs about $1,000 per hectare, typically needs that for about 18 months and can sustain about an 18% APR interest rate. The facility would need to come in two buckets, about 50% at planting, another 50% at harvest, helping them meet some of their cash crunch challenges. And the main risks associated with lending to these individuals really fall under three buckets. The first bucket is willful default. So the reality is in the environments that we work in, there's limited recourse for organizations to take in the event of a willful default. And so how to deal with these issues and ensure that you provide the right incentive structure is very, very critical. Because the reality is smallholder farmer can wake up in the morning and just say, I'm not paying you back. And it does happen quite often. The second is diversion of funds. So the reality is the population that we are financing does not have a significant amount of capital, and they have a lot of needs: school fees, sick relatives, a lot of very pressing needs. And the reality is often what you find is that those pressures cause them to divert funds that are provided for business activity to these very important needs, but unfortunately needs that are unable to provide them the necessary returns to meet their obligations. And then the third is low productivity. And low productivity typically falls into two buckets. The first is low productivity due to farmer error. So farmers' inability to follow best practices to optimize their yields. And then the second is acts of God. So effects that are really out of the hands of the farmer, typically droughts, floods, pest disease, etc., etc. So, recognizing these three key risks, how do we de-risk these smallholder farmers? So, looking at our 7 levels of risk mitigation. The first level of risk mitigation is one that I'm sure many of you know quite well. So, it's very effectively in microfinance across the world, and that is peer pressure. And it still applies the same way to smallholder farmers. The second is an economic incentive. So recognizing that it's important when dealing with this population that you provide more of a carrot than a stick, because your stick options are, quite frankly, very limited, if non-existent. due to the costs associated, et cetera, et cetera. You want to ensure that your financing and model that can provide them with the support that you provide a strong enough economic incentive that they can earn enough money that they want to come back. It sounds simple, but it's a very critical part of your design on determining what you want to finance. The third are traditional guarantees that many of you are familiar with. They can be provided by multiple organizations that help to provide you that cover. And the fourth, and one of the ones we consider the most important, is recognizing that the crop that you're financing is the collateral. Smallholder farmers do not have access to traditional collateral, land titles, assets, vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. So in reality, your financing model needs to rely on the crop that you're financing to be that collateral. And you have to ensure you have a system in place that is able to ensure that that collateral is in good stead. The fifth is ensuring that you're able to mitigate for diversion of funds by providing in-kind lending only, amongst a series of other systems as well. The sixth, to manage the risk of farmer error, is to ensure that you finance a standard system, a system that you're very confident that your customer is going to be able to be successful at. And success, as I said, is very simple. It's ensuring that you do the right thing, the right way, at the right time. And ensuring that the agricultural enterprise that you're financing has systems in place that ensure that the farmer is able to follow that pattern. I should mention that this is a very critical piece because it ensures, for us in particular, we've looked at key crops and developed key systems that will enable the farmers, as long as they follow a very set regimen, they're able to get very high yields. I think we're talking about some of our farmers, the national average in Nigeria for maize is about 1.5 tons per hectare. Our top performing farmers are getting yields of 7.5, 8 tons per hectare. Then the seventh is to mitigate against acts of God. And for this, the primary risk mitigation mechanism that we leverage is weather index insurance. We've developed the first in Nigeria, and we believe actually the first in West Africa, weather index insurance product that ensures that our farmers are able to have the necessary protection against climate change.